Hi, welcome to Irish Angling Adventures. So in this is a follow-up clip from the previous one. I'm going to be going over how I make my pulley rigs for Norway. So these pulley rigs are kind of more specified to halibut. So I'm going to be using basically your top traces that you'd use in Ireland or the UK. So just heavy lines and big hooks. So I'll go over all the stuff you need first. So for my main body, I'll be using Rovex 10X 100 pound. For my hook lengths, I'll be using Rovex 10X 200 pound. I find it works perfectly fine. For my bottom bait clip, I'll be using the Gemini big bait clips. So for swivels, I'll be using these power swivels. So they'll be the joining between the main body and the hook length. And then for, instead of using a pulley bead, I'll be using just heavy duty big swivels. So then what you need as well is some beads. I'll be using a crab float and some silicone tubing. For hooks, I'll be using, in this one specifically, I alter between pennels and singles. So this one I'll be using an 8/0 Cox and Royal meat hook. So what I'm going to start with first is I'm going to cut off maybe 3.5 feet, 3 to 3.5 feet of 100 pound. So I'm just going to tie on. As I'm doing this, I'm not going to obviously just go over tying knots. I assume you know how to do that. But what I'm going to do now is tie on the Gemini big bait clip. These videos I'm going to try keep short and concise. There's no point in having a half an hour long video. Just make sure as well that all your knots are good and tight. What I like to do then, so after I cut off the tag end, let's see, let me turn on the light. So hope you can see that. So when I cut off the tag end, what I like to do is I just melt the end of it into a small mushroom shape. It's just, my thinking is, if the knot ever slips, which I hope it never does. So you can kind of see there that the tag end I just melt into a small mushroom, so that if it ever slips, it just has that little bit of a hold, so it doesn't release, but it should never slip. So once I have that done, I'm just going to put on a small piece of silicone tubing, a bead, the heavy duty swivel, a bead, piece of silicone tubing, and then I'll tie on the other swivel. But for first, let me just get these beads on. The reason I use the silicone tubing is just for an extra bit of protection against the swivel and the knot. It's just what I like to use. Just gives me peace of mind in the eventuality of getting a big fish that you have just that little bit of protection. So then that'll look like this. So we've got our piece of our bait clip, then a piece of silicone tubing, 2 beads, swivel in between, and a piece of silicone tubing up top. Just in the eventuality I get anything big, it just adds that little bit of protection against the knot. So after that then, I'm going to tie on one of the power swivels. So just remember as well to wet all your knots as you're tying them, so you don't burn the line. So again, I'll just cut off the tag end and then just melt a small little bit of a mushroom cap on it. Now I don't do that too close to the actual line itself. I don't want to damage it. I just do it to the tag end at the end. So once that's on, I'm just going to clip on a weight. I find it easier just to work with the rig once there's a bit of weight on it. So then what I'm going to use is the Rovex 200 pound, and I'm going to take off whatever amount of line I need for my pulley rig. So once you have that tied on, same thing, just cut off your tag end, and I just like to put in that melt that bit of a mushroom in. So once you have the swivel tied on the middle, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a piece of silicone tubing up the line. So I don't need to tie a snap knot here. The silicone tubing is tight enough to keep a bead from sliding up. So once I have that, I'll just put on just a normal bead. I'm just using a Lumi one here. So I'll just slide that up the line. Then what I'm going to do is put on a muppet. So I just use a selection of muppets here for any of my rigs. So you kind of got mackerel, whatever the hell that is, and then glow in the dark. So once I have the bead set up, I'm going to just use one of these crazy muppets. The eyes in these actually glow, so just an extra bit of an attractant and a bit of movement in the water. So slide that up. Then what I like to do is use one of these crab floats. So I think these are Atronics crab float. They just add an extra little bit of movement, so the Muppet on its own will just, if it'll just lie flat in the bottom if you don't add anything. It's just my thinking of it. So with a bit of a crab float, it'll pop it up and it'll just allow the current to move it a bit more. So then after that, what I'm going to use is a 8/0 Coxswain rod meat hook. So just because, or with the baits we're using, so up there we can supply, or we can get our bait in Norway. So there's a local fish processing plant, which we can buy a slab. I think it's a 20 kg slab of herring. I think cost us about €40. So that did us for the week, no problem. We even had some left over, so that's an option for us up there. So that's basically how I make my pulley rig for Norway. So then the way I store these is I keep them in poly pocket, or not poly pockets, but Ziploc bags. So you can see just some of the ones I've made previous. So this is a Pulley 8/0, and this is a pennel pulley with a 8/0 bottom hook and a 6/0, or sorry, an 8/0 circle top up and a 6/0 bottom hook. But that's the way I like to do it. You buy these Ziploc bags online, and I just write down what I'm using and the rig I'm using, and then at least when it comes to finding it in a rig wallet, it's just that little bit easier, because everything is going to look the same once there's Muppets on everything and floating beads on it. So that's how I make my pulley rig for Norway. So the next clip I'm going to do is a up and over, and it's slightly different to how you'd make an up and over here or for fishing in Ireland or England. The only difference is I add just a little bit of a change to where the line goes up to the top of the rig. So you'll see that in the next clip. Thanks for watching. If you have any tips yourself to give me, please leave them in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks very much for that.